Hey everyone, RemanX here, and I wanted to do kind of a Scourge primer, just kind of go through some of the questions I'm seeing across social media. There are quite a few people who either are new to this or are trying to figure out how to navigate this. So I wanted to go down to some of the basics on how to navigate the Scourge, and hopefully get it to the point where we can kind of showcase some of the key points here, because I want to make sure you guys understand the basics, and we're going to start here. Not all rosters are created equal, so trying to replicate what I do or Dorky Dad does may be more difficult. Although I will tell you right now that Dorky Dad, which his YouTube channel will be in the comments, is probably the best source for Scourge information to understand how to go through some of the harder content. But we're going to go through some of the basics to help you guys understand and guide your hands why certain things exist. So let's start with the basics here. First things first. The Scourge is going to be found. Scourge. The Scourge is going to be found inside of the event tab. Now, there's no call-outs here to it that basically show it. There's no real big call-out. It's just right there with Rogue. You go in there, you're going to hit the events tab. Now, if you guys, again, I'm doing this because enough people have told me that they just found out about it or they're struggling with this. So this video is for them. It may not be for you. Make sure you share it and make sure people get that information. So there might be some information here to start with this. So this right here, that 425K score, I want you guys to understand that is to make sure that you guys get the milestones here. All right. And then get the ranking when it's complete. You will not get Rogue until after the completion of the event. That is the minimum required to get Rogue. Okay, plus the completion. Now be very careful. The one thing I want people to understand is 500K gets you immediately. So going up to difficulty 5 and getting less Scourges and then adding some specifically like the stay down one, we're going to talk about this, is one of the easiest to add, period. But this is going to require more of your roster. Some people have been able to do the 500K with all the Scourges with just your Young Avengers throughout the whole entire nodes. But again, remember, so we're going to go into 4, and I want you guys to take a look at just really quickly. So if you go into 4, you're going to notice there are the require. All right, the requirements on 5. Okay. Okay, are just hero. So one thing people thought was they could use their entire roster throughout this, but it's still the basics of this. So you're able to use more of your roster to accomplish some of these harder nodes that some people are having challenges beating, right? And so a little bit easier, but when you go to difficulty 5, you'll see that that's when they start adding the specific characters. Now that's the A-Force, Inhumans, and then the actual team that I think is the anchor, which is going to be the Young Avengers. So let's go ahead and hit 5. You'll see enter, and you'll see the node changed very slightly in that when you go to node 5, and by the way, it's also replicated on node 10, you see now the restrictions are A-Force, Inhuman, Young Avengers. Same thing over here on node 10. Now, one thing is, some people were saying that their roster, because of how they built their Young Avengers, wasn't able to do node 5 and node 10 on some of the other difficulties. And so the question is, how big is your city with the Web Warriors? Sims, Cloak and Dagger, you might be able to get through that. And how many, we've got several mutant teams. How can they progress through here? So we're actually seeing quite a few people going up to like difficulty 8. And we'll just show you guys really quickly this. Let's do new run. Difficulty 8, 9, or 10 to get more points, but only going up to 5, depending on their. By the way, this Scourge right here, I just want to go over this one more time. This one is basically, we call this the Dormammu Scourge, and you'll see me disappear for 1 second. Okay. On a player's turn, revive once from that character. Now, this is probably the easiest one to add for this Scourge, because it only applies to certain characters or when you're bringing up, you're bringing in Dormammu. Okay, so it's actually quite a few points for something that doesn't affect as many characters. So it's kind of, I don't want to say a free one, but it's an easy one to apply. So we're going to talk about this, right? So each one of the nodes has a projected score. Okay? So when you go in here, you'll see that each one of these nodes has a projected score. Okay? You take your total score, okay, and divide it by 10. So each one of these will give you the 128K. Now there's a bonus, but that isn't as significant as it was last turn for efficiency. So there's going to be more ties later down the run. So if you notice when you go up to 10, okay, you're getting 260K points per node. So some people have been able to get 1,000,000 points just by doing the first 4 nodes and being done with the entire event, if that's how far they want to go. It's up to your roster. You can't replicate what you've seen people do on stream because there's going to be T4s that might be essential. So don't be afraid to kind of play around with this and understand, the differences in how your roster runs. So we're going to talk about this because one thing that we have is Yuletide is going to have a tool. It should be updated tonight. I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview really quickly here. All right, this is a sneak preview. This tool will be updated tonight, okay, with the scores from the current Scourge. Yeah, I Scourge, the scores from the current Scourge. Oof, tongue twister here. Let me have some more coffee. Awesome. So you'll be able to track that. The tracker we used last time for MILF, it'll be very helpful. You guys can check it out on my Twitch. We'll have it in mobile gamers' hands and quite a few other streamers' hands and content creators to make sure that information is at your disposal. So we can thank Yuletide for keeping that up to date, but that should be up to date tonight so that we'll have that information as well. So when it comes down to it, the most important thing is you've got about 5 days left of this. So your last run, I would probably start within 48 hours of the end of it and try to get as many points as possible to score. And so that score is going to help you unlock Rogue, who is going to be quite a force to be reckoned with. In fact, the Crucible, we just had mine go up against a mirror match, and it was almost lost, and he had a much bigger team at level 90. So definitely going to get some feedback on that. We're definitely going to showcase more in action as it comes along. I'm using Rogue in my arena offense. Very powerful at 3-star. I'm actually was able to hit auto on the Dark Dimension 5 nodes with her presence at 3-star 0 red. Exceptional character. So if you guys have any more questions, make sure you guys check me out on Twitch. You guys can ask me questions here on YouTube in the comments and hopefully get the information. But again, these are just some very basic covering for you. So hopefully you can figure that out. Now remember, one thing about the Scourge I want you guys to remember is there's something you have to remember that I think we just didn't cover, and I want to make sure we get this last piece in here. So let's say you go in here and your team dies. Okay? We're going to show you 2 scenarios here. And this is the reason why I'm putting this is because quite a few people have asked me about this. So we're going to start with the basics here. Let's say your team goes in there and they die. Well, just like the Greek raids, they can't be revived. However, if you quit out in time, you will retain your team just like the Dark Dimension. So in that way, it's very, very similar to that. But if your whole team just dies, well, there's not much you can do. Surprised the hand is, having so much success over here, but they'll die relatively soon. unless we just found a new meta, and then hold my beer. This is the lowest team I could possibly put in City. All right, come on, Blob. You got to do something here. There we go. There we go. And to be clear, they haven't gotten a kill yet, so that's hopeful. Oh. So my team's dead. There's two choices here. I can let them die and finish this node into completion, but they will be unusable for the next set of nodes. Or when I simply hit quit, you'll see that no progress has been taken. And I can try again. So I think that's some of what happens to folks here. They miss that essential piece of the puzzle. So just like the Dark Dimension, as long as you quit before the screen fades into the defeat section, you'll be able to get that done. Anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, there's a lot more to this as far as team selection. It really depends on stars and red stars as you progress in the higher Scourges. One thing is I do find that people are putting way too many Scourges on. Some of the like 7s and 8s and struggling when going up a Scourge level without any of the additional challenges selected might be better. So don't forget that, you know, if you're struggling there and you have like 170 plus Scourges, maybe moving up a level and going down and adding just a 30 might get you a better score. So everybody's roster is different. Just be careful trying to replicate exactly what I'm going to do. And again, I think with my 1.1 million Young Avengers is why I believe that Dorky Mobile Gamer and several other content creators are much better examples of how to get through this. Although, if you guys want to see some of the insights, I will be recording the majority of my difficulty 10 run. I'm probably not going to go for top 50, but we'll see if it holds when I'm done by the end of this week. See you soon.